Alright, so today we're going to look at getting a master switch installed on here on the side so we can shut the power on and off. The way it's wired currently, we've got a direct feed from the positive terminal of the battery straight to the pump. The downside of this is that we have to constantly disconnect our remote, so that way we don't risk hitting the up and down buttons on the remote while we're working or driving down the road and having the body tilt. So we're going to fix that by putting a master switch that I already have purchased here. We're going to mount it right on the outside, and then the nice thing is it has a little voltmeter gauge on it, so it'll tell us what the battery voltage is. You can shut the power on and off, and it should make for an overall smoother setup. To do this, we're going to start by drilling a hole here with a hole saw, and then 4 bolt holes to get that mounted. And then we got 4 gauge wire here, so we can get that to focus, and we'll have to put some terminals similar to what came on this factory to make the connections. I'm hoping I won't have to buy another length of cable to extend that out, but I might. Before we get too far into this, how did I choose the switch to use? First thing I did to figure out the draw to be expected is I went and looked at the wire that was being used in the trailer. They've got a short run of 4 gauge wire. I then went and looked up 12 volt wire amp ratings and found this chart on the internet. 3.8 volts, less than 4 foot in length, 250 to 300 amps is what it's rated for. This switch you can see here is rated for continuous running at 250 amps and for up to 30 minutes at 300 amps. I felt that was a good match. I'm never going to be raising or lowering the trailer for continuous 30 minutes. If I do, there's a severe mechanical issue, and was happy with this purchase. Alright, the hole is cut through just where we wanted it. Next step is going to be getting the burrs cleaned off there, and then getting the 4 holes drilled out. For this particular model, of course, it was metric in size, but I'm using a 2.5 inch hole saw to put the hole in there. With the holes drilled, I now can take some brake cleaner to clear all the oil off where I drilled through to prepare it for spray paint to help prevent corrosion down the road. With the holes in place, you simply just have to screw the switch into place. I did find that the included bolts were far longer than I needed and plan to cut them down later after this video. Pretty good mounted on there, off and on. Once I get the electric hooked up, we'll have a display there. I group. I need to trim these down because they're way too long. Splice in here, make my two positive connections, and then a ground to run from here to the negative of the battery for the display. The first thing I do is disconnect power prior to working on the electrical system. Next, I'm able to cut my 4-gauge red wire in half where I want to add the new connections. With the wire cut in half, I strip the ends off and then add my new connectors. Unfortunately, I don't have the greatest crimping tool for 4-gauge wire, but I make do with what I have. I then go on to secure it with heat shrink tubing as well. Closer, my book. Alright, we have a fully functional switch. .9 volts. That's what we wanted. Now I don't mind leaving that remote hooked up all the time. Charger's still hooked up independently. I do have a 120 volt charger in here as well, but it is not wired in currently.